Today we're going to look at how we can use Desmos to create a scatter plot of data and then use that scatter plot to create a linear model for the data. We're going to use this problem here to show how we can do that in Desmos. We have an XY table that shows the weight of ice cream sold at a small store in pounds X and the average temperature outside in degrees Celsius Y. What we need to do is take this data in the table and put it into our Desmos calculator. To do that, we're going to hit the plus button to add an item, and then we're going to add a table. We want to make sure that our data points here match exactly in our table of data here. When there were 20 pounds of ice cream sold, it was 6 degrees Celsius outside. It can be helpful to have a split screen or to record the data on a separate sheet of paper in order to not have to keep looking back and forth between the tabs. Okay, so now I have all of this data in this table is now in the table in Desmos. We can see that our window does not show any of our data points in that graph. So what we can do is hit the zoom button, and now we can see the data that's plotted in the graph. Okay. Now what we want to do is create a linear model that best fits this data. Remember that this line is not an exact line, as it will not go through all the data points. It's the best estimate. We need to make sure that we tell Desmos to use the data from this table, which is x sub 1 and y sub 1. We're going to use the slope-intercept form of the equation y equals mx plus b with a few tweaks to make sure that we're doing a best estimate. Instead of y, I'm going to type y1, and that's going to let Desmos know to use the y values from this table. We're not going to make an exact equation, we're going to make the best estimate. So we're not going to use an equal sign, we're going to use the estimate sign, or the similar sign. Instead of a slope, which we don't know, we're going to use the variable m for slope, and instead of x, we're going to use x sub 1 to again show that we want to use the x values from the table of data. And now we're going to use plus b for the y-intercept, which again, we don't know, but Desmos is going to calculate it for us. Here we have a couple statistics points. The main deal with the statistics points is it shows how well our line actually fits the data. So this is called the correlation coefficient, and the closer your correlation coefficient is to 1 or -1, the stronger the correlation. So we see that we have a very strong linear model that fits the data fairly nicely. We also see our parameters, which is what we really want to look for. Our slope of our line of best fit is 0.782051. Of course, they've kind of rounded this number here. And for B, we have negative 9.4375. And so if I wanted to type our equation, I'm going to go ahead and round to the nearest hundredth and put in our equation here. You can kind of see that it doesn't completely overtake the red line, as it is an estimate or a rounding of the numbers there. And that's how we can use Desmos to create a line of best fit for a linear model.